Mr. Sater, would you mind passing me host, please?
You got it.
Thank you.
Hey, Doris.
Hello.
I'll go ahead and turn on my camera now that I'm not alone.
Oh,
Not that our
hi,
tech
Eric.
support,
How are
we
you?
appreciate our tech support though. I'm good. I still teach a class at 6:30. So usually we do pretty good finishing before then. So that's my hope tonight.
Well, I stayed out shopping too long, so I'm in my car.
But I
Have
know
good holidays.
I crashed. I don't know if I would say I crashed. My car slid off the road, right? I'll avoid culpability in an ice storm in Tennessee.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, so no one got hurt, so that's good. But unfortunately, my car is still in Tennessee with an unknown repair date. So it's
Oh,
crazy.
that's horrible.
Yeah, so it's already been over a month and they still can't even tell me when it'll be fixed. They're just so backed up with ice storm and tornadoes and stuff like that.
Did you have to rent a car?
I tried to rent a car, and then the small town that I crashed near decided not to open that day. And although I had a reservation, they didn't open to give me a car. So after a lot of begging, I had some good friends of mine from Bloomington area, actually out of Spencer, Indiana, come down and pick me up because that's the only way I could find my way out of Tennessee. So
How horrible.
yeah, it wasn't great, but other than
So
that, holiday,
what are you driving now?
nothing, nothing at the moment.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you got it.
Doris, looks like you're driving.
I'm in my car. I was just telling Eric I stayed out shopping too long, so you got me in my car.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I
It
know.
happens. Yeah, I attended a meeting, it's a couple of years ago, clearly during the pandemic when I was working from home and I was racing around. And it was one of these huge meetings with probably 50 people, and I didn't know my camera was on. And so somebody later on said, yeah, you were in a car. And I thought I had it, turned off. No secrets. There are no secrets.
Right.
How's everybody doing? Okay? Other
I'm
than
fine.
storms?
I'm fine. I'm in Dunedin, Florida.
Oh,
Oh, I studied in Dunedin, New Zealand many years ago. So,
Wow. Okay.
now I know how to pronounce that. I never knew how to pronounce that.
That's how you pronounce it. Yep.
By the way, you realize, Eric, we haven't been able to send a soul to Australia or New Zealand. It's now going on 2 years. It's just so sad. And add into that China and Japan. Yeah, it's really kind of amazing. Yeah, Margie, it happened to me too. I started out as an attendee and then they changed me to a panelist. This must be a new setup. Somebody will explain it to us.
Yeah, that was new to me too. I chose to be a panelist so I could talk and
Yeah,
Here.
it must be a
And see.
platform that, but yeah, well, I understand it when you think about all these, hey, Margie, all these meetings like that the council and the county have, where they do not want to see people and they do not want people to talk unless they give them special permission to
Sure.
unmute and all that. So I understand these controls are necessary.
Hey guys, I'm in a room that has no blind and it's on the west side of the house. So the sun is just coming in and I can't see it. So if I move it around weird or turn my camera off, it's because I'm moving myself so that I can try to see you guys.
We see the sunshine. It's actually very welcome. Doris,
Yeah.
when we woke up this morning, it was 4 degrees in Bloomington.
yeah, a friend of mine texted me that. 4.
Yeah, so it's now a balmy. I didn't check. Did it ever get up to 20? Yeah, it did get up to 20. So
In what part of Florida? I heard the name of the town, but what part of Florida or like where is it at?
By Clearwater,
Okay,
you know
so
what
that's a
Clearwater-
little north.
a little north of Tampa and St. Petersburg.
Nice, but nice and
Yeah.
warm.
Well, it's warmer here. Yes.
You're not going to complain about the 60s, are you?
I'm not. No, I'm not. or the clouds.
Right, right.
You've got sunshine, we don't.
Yeah, we have great sunshine right now.
Hi,
Right,
Byron.
Hi. Doris, are you in your car?
I am,
Staying warm that way?
yeah. I'm in Florida, so that helps.
So we're waiting for Susan. I don't remember if I saw her RSVP. I know we certainly have a quorum. And then we have a new member, correct? Maynard.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, we have a new, and I'm wondering, let me look, Jonathan.
Here he comes.
Okay, great. Now Julian Gray is listed as a attendee, and I'm wondering if that is actually Susan. It's computer.
So Julian is one of my students.
Okay, so no, okay, so it's not, okay.
Julian is Julian. There might be a couple others. So
Okay,
this time
gotcha.
coincided with some social work supervision I'm doing. And so I said, hey, Human Rights Commission is a good thing to know about. Why don't we just attend this meeting? So there might
Awesome.
be 4 of them that
Okay.
pop up as attendees.
Perfect.
Yep, there he is. So that's interesting. So though we won't see their faces, or yeah, we'll just know that they're there. Okay.
Although they can
Maynard-
chat, it looks like, based on the chat box.
Now, if we want to have them elevated, you certainly could. This is a small group, it would be manageable. That's totally your call. If you want them. Typically, the council and commissioners do not elevate anybody other than the, elected officials and staff.
That makes sense. And Maynard can turn on his camera, or is he not able, he's still an attendee instead of a panelist?
He's listed as a panelist, so yeah, if
Here he comes.
if he wants to, he can, yep.
I'll be on in a couple minutes.
That's fine. No rush. We're just trying to figure out who's here.
And it is Goldburn is his first name. So just for clarification.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made assumptions there. Never make assumptions. I've been at the university long enough to know that names are so interesting and you can't assume first and second. All right, well, we can, I think I'll call the meeting to order, and if Susan pops on, she's had difficulties, right? Challenges in signing on in the past, and I'll just start out by taking notes. And roll call is just we go around, right? The roll call, so one by one. Eric, you want to start?
Sure. Eric Sater, present and reporting.
Doris Parlett, present.
Byron Bangert, present.
Goldburn
Goldburn Maynard present.
and Kathleen Sidelli present. All right, so we have a quorum, so we can dive into the important work. I noticed that the next thing on the agenda is the election of officers, but we haven't even gotten warmed up yet. So can we do the minutes first? Is that
Sure.
okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the December minutes, and I noticed when I opened them that you actually got the track changes minutes, so presumably you saw some of the corrections that I had shared with Susan, and I presume, Byron, that, somebody was taking your name in vain there, and I took it off. Did I get that right?
I think so, except my name is misspelled in the list of those attending. My
Okay,
first
so,
name is misspelled.
all right, so spelling correction. How did that happen? All right. And I
Couple
think we
places
got the
it's
rest of it.
misspelled. Yeah,
Okay.
a couple places it's correct and a couple places it's wrong, so.
Okay, so spelling corrections for Byron's name. All right, we'll get that into the new minutes. And anything else? Do the minutes otherwise look like they captured what happened? If so, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I
So
so
moved.
moved.
All right, Doris moved. Byron second. All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes, raise hand. All right, all right. Thank you. All right, let's then go to the joint, and the reason, I'd love for Susan to be here when we get to the election of officers, so let's just keep moving down the agenda. A joint meeting confirmed on February 23rd. Margie? Anything to say about that?
No, they just agreed to do it at our meeting time and place, so it'll be, I'm assuming it'll still be via Zoom. And if you'd like something particular on the agenda, let us know. I had suggested to Barbara that both groups could just talk about what's on their plates and what their goals are, and particularly any goals that you might have for collaboration or working together. Barbara could probably talk about, she can let us know sort of what conversation she had about, website, that kind of stuff. I expect that Jeff Cockrell will be the attorney that's at that meeting. And I don't know if it's been common knowledge, but this is going to be my last meeting with the Human Rights Commission because I have accepted a position with a law firm out of my hometown. And so Friday is my last day at the county.
My goodness.
Oh, we'll miss you.
Thanks.
We
I'm
will
going to miss you guys.
you, Margie. You've been wonderful.
Thanks. I am going to miss you guys. I'm going to miss this work. This opportunity came up and I just sort of felt like a door I needed to walk through right now. And so I will be working with a firm they do work that I don't even know how to do, but I'm going to be learning some things, and they work with a lot of farmers. We'll see.
That's a change of pace.
You're gonna sell your house?
No, I get to work from this room right here, but I will be going up to Peru, Indiana is my hometown. I will be going up there next week. My last day is Friday, I start Monday. It's called Dobbs Legal Group, and it's just a very small firm. They do wealth and succession planning a lot for farmers and businesses. And I'm going to hopefully round out some areas of practice that they're looking to grow into. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to miss the county, but Jeff Cockrell is no stranger to human rights. He was the attorney for this Human Rights Commission before I came on. And so I think I've been sending him some information, and he knows what's going on with criminal justice and with the commissioner, so he'll be able to keep you guys up to speed.
That was going to be my question about whether he knew kind of the content that we've been focused on for quite some time.
Yeah, he does, and he's been, he advises the commissioners, and so he knows everything they've done in that regard and can keep you guys up to speed.
Okay. Well, now that we're a little bit warmed up, Goldburn, if you don't mind my calling you by your first name, would you like to introduce yourself to us? I don't think we've seen any information, and I apologize that we haven't offered an orientation. Margie, I don't even remember I don't think anybody ever oriented me. You kind of just picked it up as the meetings go, but I think we could do a bit better. So Goldburn, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I am Goldburn Maynard. I am an assistant professor at the Kelley School of Business and the Business Law and Ethics Department. And so I've been here since 2020. This is my second year at the Kelley School of Business. And so this is a great opportunity for me to get involved in the community.
Great, welcome. So when you say you've been at Kelley since 2020, and I'm at the university as well, is that also you're coming to Bloomington for the first time as well?
Yes, so I moved here for the job.
Got it, great. Well, some of us came here for jobs that we thought were gonna last a couple of years, and then we stayed. At least I speak for me. Byron, how long have you been in Bloomington? Long time, right?
Since 1985. What's that work? That's about 36 years.
Yeah. Did you want to say a little bit about yourself now that we can introduce ourselves to Goldburn?
Sure, I've been on the county Human Rights Commission since its inception, which was about 10 years ago, I think now, I'm not exactly sure. And I've been on the Bloomington Human Rights Commission since about 1998. In fact, I was asked to be on the county commission because I was on the city commission, and the county commissioners wanted to have somebody who had that kind of experience and could serve as a kind of liaison between the commissions, and I've just stayed. Longtime interest in human rights. I came to Bloomington in '85 to be the pastor at First Presbyterian Church, and then I got a PhD in religious ethics in 2004. And I was sort of an adjunct faculty and had a position at the Poynter Center for the Study of Ethics in American Institutions. So ethics and human rights are right up my alley, and I've very much enjoyed being with the folks that you see on the screen here and on this commission.
Great. Well, you've been an important mentor to me, and I know to others. Eric, what about you? Want to give a little background?
Yeah, so Goldburn actually knows me to a degree due to our roles over at Kelly. I am also an instructor at the Kelly School as my primary role these days, teaching business law and ethics. Prior to Kelly, my most recent position was over with the housing department here at City Hall. And to briefly plug Goldburn, who is being a little modest here, his areas of emphasis amongst others include equality law and wealth inequality. So certainly areas that intersect well with human rights.
Thank you. So you're not with the city anymore?
No, I may be hopping onto a commission at some point soon, but no, my primary role, I am full-time over at IU. I've been part-time at IU for a number of years in social work, O'Neill, but now I am full-time at the business school.
Interesting, interesting. All right, well. Okay, Doris, your turn.
Hello, I'm Doris Parlett. I have been on the commission for, I think this is my fourth term. It's either my third or my fourth term. So I started shortly after it began. My background is in corrections. I was a probation officer, a parole officer. I moved to Bloomington in 1988 to open a men's work release center for the Indiana Department of Correction. Worked in corrections then as a superintendent of a juvenile facility here or there for 18 years. Finished my corrections career with 4 years at the women's prison in Madison. And I'm sorry, 2 years at the women's prison in Madison, and then retired, went back to work for Department of Child Services and worked 4 more years and retired again. So that's my background. I adore Bloomington, but not in the winter, so I'm in Florida. But it's a wonderful place, and it's I'm very honored to be a part of this commission. It's an important thing in my life, and we need to focus so much more on human rights than we have collectively as a society. And so I think we're on the right track, and it's my pleasure to be a part of this.
Thank you, Doris. So myself, I said I was at the university, and I am. I'm the Associate Vice President for the Office of Overseas Study. I came to Bloomington in '73 for 2 years, and see how that happened. So we're almost at 50 years here. So I taught in the Spanish department for 25 years, and some of that overlapped with administrative duties at the Office of Overseas Study, and my job is to send students to other countries. So Goldburn, I don't know if you know it, but Kelly, I've watched Kelly go from sending no students abroad to being the one academic unit at the university that sends the most students abroad. They send, well over 50% of their students study abroad. It is just wonderful. So I'm sure at some point somebody will pull you in to do that if they haven't already. So my big news, whether I've been rolling it out a little bit, and I don't even think I told Margie, is that I have announced to many, many people that I'm retiring on June 30th, 2022. So,
Wow.
yeah, I've been in overseas study for 43 of those many years, and I think it's time. So I'm telling people I'm not part of the great resignation. I don't want to be perceived as, the pandemic drove me out, but I had planned to retire last summer when I turned 70. And then because of the pandemic, I decided to stay. So this will give me more time for community projects. So you would wonder, what the heck does all that I just talked about have anything to do with human rights? Well, I have long been committed to a number of community organizations. I was president of Stonebelt that Disability Services. I'm currently president of the Middle Way House, domestic violence organization, and I've worked very closely and was president of the Quarryland Men's Chorus. So anyway, so I like community work, and and this one has been very, very satisfying. So. And I think I think I came in a little before Eric, but way after Doris and Byron, maybe 5 years ago, right? Is about right, Margie? About 5 years ago. So yeah, there we go. Goulburn. So I will send you, I think I'll send you a document. I think I'll send him that summer. Well, we should probably send him a couple of links. Are we allowed to do that, Margie? I never want to be accused of having meetings outside of meeting time, but all the work at least links to what's on the county website.
we can do
for
that.
the task force on criminal justice reform, because we've really been a very proactive group. So when I first joined the group, it was clear to me that our main task was receiving complaints at the county level about human rights violations, and that's a very important part of what we do. And we have a charge, and we have a what do we call it, Byron? Our very lengthy document that explains
Ordinance or something.
yes, yeah, all why we exist. And it was during that time that we were getting some complaints that they had to do with overcrowding in the jail and the treatment of individuals in the jail. And so then we started asking questions. We toured the jail. We've now done that twice. We got very much involved with a different, effort on behalf of the commissioners, right? The Monroe County commissioners, to do a massive contracted task force study of criminal justice reform. And that report kind of rolled out last year. Do I get my years wrong? 2021. And of course, we're all sitting on the edges of our seat hoping something happens, and it's hard to imagine, but we have not given up hope. So that's kind of a really quick overview. When we do have somebody coming forward with human rights violation complaint, the lawyer, and you're meeting Margie on her way out, but she would contact one of us and work with one of us and the individual, the complainant, and to see what we can do, right, in order to resolve that. So
and just to supplement that, so we don't get a whole lot of complaints, but when we do, we pick a member and we investigate. We take the complainant side. We typically have to write that complaint up for the person and make sure that it's accurate. They sign it. Then we send it to the other side. We get the other side of the story, and then together make a determination if we think our human rights code, which I will send to you, I will send you some links, if there's been a violation of it. And if we determine there are different things that we can negotiate settlements or outcomes with the other side. There are various powers the Human Rights Commission has. If we determine there hasn't been a violation, then that person, the complainant, can appeal to the entire board to have them hear the issue. Now, so as a result of that, the attorney and the member who's investigating typically don't share details with this commission until a decision has been made. We currently do have one complaint that we're investigating. Byron is the member who's on that. And we're at the stage where we're trying to get the information from the other side. And that's been a little slow going because the Director of Human Resources has been unavailable, and that's who's supposed to be our source of information. So we are keeping in touch with the complainant. I talked with him this week, have kept in close touch with him, so he's aware of what's going on. So, but we don't share details typically because we don't want to taint the process for all of you. But I will send you some links to your email, like Kathy mentioned, the criminal justice study and some other things. And you can ask Jeff or Martha. I'm not going to be very far. I'm going to be right here in town. And so I would be happy to be a resource anytime, even though I'm not an employee anymore at the county, if you have questions or, want to just chat about human rights issues.
Let me jump in here. I knew enough to look at my email in case Susan was trying to get on. She's been able to dial on the phone, but she's not able to be seen or to participate. So I don't know if that's anything Jonathan can fix.
If she is 812-332-7236, can you promote that number and let's see if it's Susan? I see that
There is
number.
not an
is mentioned.
option to promote that number.
There's not an option to promote that. Okay.
So, but she can hear us, so at least she knows we tried.
Yeah.
So I know she's occasionally had trouble with getting
There's a phone.
visibility, right? But I think he said he can't unmute that. Yes, he did. Magic.
Hey,
Now
hey,
There she
Hi.
is.
Here is the one rule though, via Zoom meetings, unless you have to be able to see and hear the participant for any votes to count. So we
Okay.
do have a quorum, but since we can hear you, feel free to participate, but if it comes to a vote, we will not be able to count Susan's vote.
Okay. All right, so Susan, I don't know when you jumped in. I had checked my email a couple of times before I finally saw that you were trying to get on. I have been taking minutes. Okay?
okay. Okay, thanks very much, Kathy. I've been on since about, 6 or 7 after I got in while you guys were introducing yourselves, and I heard a little bit about Margie leaving. I'm sorry. I do not know what's wrong, except that I have lousy, in capital letters, italicized internet at my home.
That's
So-
okay. So Susan, so we were spending time welcoming and our newest member, who's Goldburn Maynard, who's a professor at Indiana University, and he's been in town only a couple of years. So we were taking the time to kind of introduce ourselves to him. So this would be your moment to tell us and him, who you are, what you've been doing, and your role in this group.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, I'm a native Bloomingtonian, although, am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay, a native Bloomingtonian, although I spent 13 years out of the country, but I've been back for about 40 years. My human rights experience has been working in disabilities and being on the Human Rights Committee for several disability organizations. And I've been on this committee for 2 years, 2.5, something like that, and participated in one investigation. So that's me.
I have a very loud dog, as some of you heard, so I will, mute and unmute as necessary. And Susan has been our secretary, doing a fabulous job.
Yes.
Taking notes for our meetings. And so when I made this comment, I should explain myself when I said I didn't want to write to you and send you information. We have kind of a protocol that outside of meeting times, we're not supposed to be debating and writing back and forth. I mean, Susan will send me the minutes and I will send some corrections, and I assume, Margie, we can continue to do that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and you can communicate with staff anytime. We just try to be very careful of the open door law issues, and we don't want this group sort of communicating in close time and sort of making decisions outside of public meetings. Just think better, even if it's not truly a technical violation of the open door law, we like to make sure that the public is aware of your decision-making, your deliberations, your information sharing, just so we're clearly not anywhere close to a violation of open door law. I tend to be fairly conservative in my advice about open door law. I think Jeff Cockrell is a lot more relaxed about that than I am. So who knows if you'll be getting different advice from him, but I try to make sure all my boards and commissions stay very, very far away from anything that even looks like it could be a violation.
Well,
But you can communicate with staff all day long, so let us know.
well, given the state of Indiana and its positions on many different things, I think we should continue just, trying to kind of follow the rules. Okay, well, the next thing then would be election of officers.
And then Kathleen,
I
my
want
quick
to
remark.
participate in this meeting. Strongest way, sorry.
Did you want to say something, Eric?
Yeah, just briefly, are we at capacity now, or do we still have any more, one more gap space? Okay. And Margie, you're muted. I saw the one
Oh,
hand.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think we're still missing one member. I think we still have one opening.
And is anybody going to be named?
I have not heard an update on that. I know that, Jeff Copper may actually have a better understanding of that than I have, asked Dina from time to time. Was happy to see that Goldburn was appointed, but I think they have not made another decision. I haven't heard of that if they have. We'll nudge him.
Okay. So when I see the election of officers, I did not go back to look at last year's. I can hardly believe a year has gone by, but I will believe it. And if Martha tells us this is what we should be doing, we should be doing this. But I do have a very, very vivid recollection that I did declare a year ago that I would step down as president/chair. We had a few previous members who felt, and I kind of understand coming in new to an organization like this, that if people had been in their positions for many, many years, it might seem that they were kind of holding on to power. I don't think of myself as that kind of a person, but I did make a promise, so I want to keep to that promise. It's not because I'm not interested, but don't you think, Margie, since the minutes say that I would step down the next time, even though those members who raised the issue are no longer on the Human Rights Commission, I feel like I need to honor that.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I can understand that. And I don't think there's been any conversation about who might want to nominate themselves, or if there's another member who wants to nominate somebody. So if you guys have ideas about that tonight, that is certainly something that you can do tonight. I mean, if you want to put off the election of officers a month, I also think that's something you can do. I discourage boards and commissions from making a decision and then announcing it at a meeting. I think that's, in fact, there was a open door law violation claimed against the city council for that very sort of thing over who was going to be the council president. So I would discourage that. So if somebody wants to spontaneously step up and say, hey, I want to be chair, or you have a good idea about somebody else you might like to be chair, feel free to say that now. And if there isn't anybody, we can wait another month and see if we get either a new member or somebody becomes interested.
I also said I would serve as vice president one more year last year. So that position should be filled again too.
As I recall, there was not a single one of us who are still on the commission who was interested in being the chair at that time. Now, maybe Eric has changed his mind and might be available. And if so, I would nominate him.
I would second that nomination.
Now, I've heard that vice presidents can make great presidents. And I would say I would be able to do a vice presidency, but I do have some reluctance of taking on I don't know, I feel like a chair should have like good, I I don't know. I don't know if I have an agenda of like what I want to see next for the commission. So I would be reluctant is all I would say.
I might preface or at least add to that you might disagree with me, but this has been a very, I think, unique organization. I don't know what else to call it, where the staff and the legal counsel to the group, frankly, do most of the major lifting. I mean, it's just, and I feel very spoiled by it. So, creating the agenda, managing, the calendar, helping the content. I mean, I have been, as I mentioned, and it was not to brag, it's just that I've been put in presidential chair positions and I have done a heck of a lot of heavier lifting in other groups. So I'm not saying it's a piece of cake, Eric, but keeping the meetings, some of you know, we went through some challenging meetings in the last couple of years, just in terms of Zoom and making sure people were able to say what they wanted to say and that we understood nuances of tone and language and all that. And so, in that sense, you are chairing a meeting. So I would say, Margie, am I right there, that it's really chairing the meeting and working with the staff and the legal counsel to ensure that we are meeting the expectations of the organization. If anything, we kind of jointly develop the content that we've been covering. And Byron, you have more familiarity with the Bloomington Commission. So I don't know if this is so different than that and I'm misrepresenting this one.
No, I don't think so. I think it's possible that there's been a little more latitude on the part of the chair for the city commission in terms of what the agenda gets to be, but not a lot. A lot of the work is done, most of the work is done by the staff. So I don't think that should hinder you, Eric.
I am open to the role, considering I'm happy. Well, actually, hold on. Let me think this through. I should not be committing if I cannot do, I don't know. I guess I'm a little fearful now of my class schedule. Occasionally, depending on the semester, now that I'm thinking of it over time, has conflicted, and I do not have full control over my class times. So I am actually a little worried now that I'm thinking there's been, I think, 2 semesters over the last couple of years that I've been sporadically able to attend. So that is something that at least tonight I don't want to commit on. I'm happy if we want to hold. I can look at least, how many years, is it a 1-year commitment for chair? So
1 year.
what I can do is I can look at my schedule for next year and report back at our next meeting if we want to hold. But until I do that, I would be reluctant to take that up.
And let me ask, Doris, when, Eric suggested you as chair, is that something that you would be willing to step into the chair position for if Eric's schedule doesn't allow? Would you be willing to serve as the chair or vice chair?
At this point, I need to say no. I just don't feel like I can do that right now. I'm sorry.
No, totally fine. We just, if there is somebody else who's interested, by all means, step up. I think what we could do, if not, would be to just keep the status quo, let Eric check his schedule and touch back on this issue next month.
Yeah.
And
What do
we
you guys
let
think?
Susan, how
I'm
about,
willing to volunteer to be vice chair if Eric is willing to consent ultimately to be chair.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to leave Susan out at all. I am just, because I'm a visual learner, I'm looking here at all your faces and I am not even seeing Susan's
no,
number.
it dropped
No.
off.
Yeah, so that's totally, I didn't mean to cut her out.
No, it's just that she's secretary, and that's a really important role that I hope that she will retain. Let's see if she's emailed anything. I don't see. Well, it looks like we have not. So here's the easy thing. We have not totally resolved this, but I think we had a good conversation. Oh, now she's on with maybe with a computer.
And And I can tell you my fall, I was able to look, my fall looks fine. If we would be open to me making, I don't know, I can commit at least through fall, but there might need to be a transition in leadership should next spring arise and there be a conflict.
By next
There
spring,
she
you mean a year, more than a year from now, right?
Pretty much.
But the
Yeah.
term would be over by that time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
technically we're in the spring semester now, but yeah, give or take a few months.
And let me remind you all that the time of these meetings can be changed if you all determine that you like a better date and time. There's nothing that is legally binding that making you guys meet this date and time. So that is also something you could consider changing if you wanted.
But it has to be announced because it needs to be out there in the public. So we
Yeah.
haven't, Susan, we didn't get to talk about the secretary position. Are you happily willing to continue? Yay! That's the most important role. There you go. All right, so I think we have a slate. Yes?
Excellent.
Goldburn, you don't feel
Excellent.
left out that we haven't forced you into an officer position yet, all right, do you? No. Okay, you're lucky. Yes, Susan.
I missed a little bit in the middle while I was being allowed to be a participant.
Got it.
So
Okay.
what's our slate? Eric is going to be chair
For
if
2022.
for 2022, and if we have to change the meeting time because of Eric's schedule, we will do so. Is that the,
If it were necessary, but he thinks,
Okay.
right, Eric, that your teaching load this year will leave Wednesdays at 5 o'clock open.
Yeah, I should be fine. This spring I do teach at 6:30, so do know I will have strong incentive to end meetings prior to that time.
Good. Well, you can continue. I've always been, as you know, kind of pushing for early ending. And then Byron, I heard you say that you would be willing to be vice chair.
That's right.
Okay. And then Susan is willing to serve as secretary, and that's it, right? We just have 3 officers. We don't have a treasurer. All right. Well, Doris, you and I have kept to our commitment, and
Yes, we have.
that's a good thing. And it's been a good ride, and
It
I was
has.
sorry this became an issue last year, but you know, sometimes you just have to, it's good to shake things up a little bit. So, all right, so now, and now Susan can actually vote. So, who presents the slate? Does anybody?
I think one of you guys should make a motion for chair, vice chair, and secretary, and then somebody can second it and you all can vote.
Okay,
I can do that. I move that we accept or that we elect Eric as chair, Byron as vice chair, and Susan as secretary for 2022.
I second that. And so all in favor of the slate as presented,
Aye.
raise your hand. All right. Any opposition or abstentions? So carried. We're good. We have
Margie?
officers.
Margie,
Yeah.
do we need to poll or is the
Yeah, you
hand
do
raising?
need to say
Okay.
aye. I heard one aye. If you all that raised your hand could say yes, so that Susan can get that in the record.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Everybody said yes or aye or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the weird things about Zoom is you've got to actually voice your vote.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, now that we're down to public comment. Eric, do any of your students want to say something?
I don't think they have the capacity at current. I will say
that's
there
right.
are 4 of them with us tonight who will be graduating hopefully this spring from the Bachelor of Social Work program. One is serving currently at Spencer Pride out of Spencer, Indiana. One is serving Crawford Homes here in town, and 2 are at New Hope, New Life. So yeah, just doing some good work in our community.
Well, thank you. That's a really good beginning to a lifelong commitment to community service and social justice. It's really, really, really important.
And
So
if I
thank
could make a plug for them, for Monroe County government, if you're at all interested in being on a board or commission, please look at the county website. There's an application for board and commission involvement, and put yourself out there, because it's a great way to get involved and sort of get to know what's going on. And I'm a big fan of local government, because I think that's where the action is, and perhaps where we can make the most change in people's lives. So please get involved if you'd like.
Good point.
Kathy, I'd like to have a brief discussion about one of the items we talked about last time, the status of the jail survey.
Uh-huh.
In light of the fact that the current sheriff cannot run again and that there will be a new slate of candidates for this office, I wondered whether there's any role our commission ought to envision for itself in encouraging commitment on the part of an incoming sheriff to have such a survey.
Oh,
Something of that sort. I mean, we don't need to resolve this tonight. We're talking about an election that won't happen till November, but except that there'll be a primary, I guess, probably in May, but something along those lines. If we think that was an important thing to do, then we ought to try to follow up on it with the next administration.
good point.
And if I can speak, that may be a great topic, Byron, to bring up with the city's Human Rights Commission as well.
Yeah. good
Conversation.
It
point.
could be,
them.
it could be the
Yeah.
two commit, and remember, just to refresh and to bring Goulburn up to speed, one of our former members had worked with the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community to get permission to use this survey that was developed in another country and used to survey correctional centers to get to use it here in Monroe County. And so we talked about that. We worked and changed the survey a little bit. We went to the commissioners, got approval to do that. And when the idea was to be brought to the sheriff, Angie Purdy wanted to talk with him. There's another attorney assigned to the sheriff. His name is Lee Baker. And they brought up the subject, and the sheriff was not really interested in having the survey, didn't think it would benefit the correctional center or the sheriff's department, and it didn't go forward. The next conversation I had with Angie Purdy, who is going to be one of the candidates for sheriff, actually, by the way, was perhaps we broaden the survey and we do it with probation, because you get a bigger group of people. Most of those people have had some interaction with the correctional center, or certainly with the criminal justice system. And the idea being, we want to know how we're doing from the actual users. You know, often we don't get that perspective, and isn't that a really important perspective? And so Angie was going to talk with Judge Dekoff, who's our presiding judge, one of our criminal court judges, and she was going to have that conversation. And I think that's where it stopped. And I know that Angie's super busy, got a lot on her plate, and I just don't think the idea has been carried forward. But there is a survey. We do have the two contacts at the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community that one of you could reach back out to if you were really interested. You could work with Jeff Cockrell in that regard. But if somebody wanted to take that ball and run with it, we could certainly give you the information you need to carry that forward. And then, you know, to essentially push the idea of, hey, we ought to be surveying people in our criminal justice system and seeing whether they think we're doing a good job or not. And then there's also this idea of how do you guys want to be pushing or advocating or anything in regards to the whole conversation about criminal justice?
You mean the task force?
Yeah, because we have a study, but it's not been implemented yet. And there's a commissioner and council group that's meeting. They met this week. They're meeting every Tuesday, I think. They took a break over the holidays. And then they're trying to work on the steps before and after incarceration. knowing that the judges and prosecutor and sheriff are going to be talking about the processes with while you're in the system. But remember that we've got a prosecutor's race and we've got sheriff race and there's some judge races. So this might be a great time for the human rights commissions together to get the public conversation going and get people thinking about. Remember that Ruth, who would come to our meetings a lot, said she really thinks it was important to get people talking about to see what candidates think.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. So there you go, Eric. You wondered about the content. You got your content.
Margie, I've got a question for you because you've
Yeah.
carried a lot of water for the commission over the years. And my question is a somewhat professional one, I suppose. That is to say, how thoroughly do you think Jeff Cockrell has been briefed about these things, and how much time might he be able and willing to devote to the kinds of work you've been doing? Because you've got connections with county officials that none of the rest of us do. And that's been a really key part of what got done on the commission, is through your interventions, not because the rest of us were able to do it.
I think he's got all the same connections, and I think he's got all the same knowledge that I have. So I think he could very easily pick it up. I will tell you that we have very different styles, just in terms of our personalities and the way we practice law. The commissioners say at their last meeting thanked me for my, what they call forthrightness and honesty. And I said, well, appreciate you characterizing it that way. I often think of it as sassiness, because while I know I don't get to make decisions, I am very clear sometimes in my advice. And sometimes I think I might be a little too pushy. And Jeff is really great to work with because he's pretty laid back and easygoing. And so he may not be it. I told him, I said, I think Jeff's going to have to increase his sassiness in 2022. And he said, no, I don't think anybody's ever called me that. So Jeff is great. He's very smart and he knows everything I do and has all the same contacts. But you might just have a conversation with him about how comfortable is he in advocating and pushing, and whether he thinks that that's his role or whether he thinks that's a role for you guys, and where's that balance.
Excellent. Good points, Byron, and good response, Margie. Yeah, because we put a lot of work, years of work. I mean, the pandemic really kind of quashed so much, and then introduced so many other things that the county has been coping with. It's just stunning what the commissioners have to be dealing with. Is just amazing.
Well, and the question really out there, that the report, when you read it, when you guys read it, if you haven't already, or Goldburn, when you pick it up, you're going to see very clearly that the consultants don't love our current facility. It's not hard to see why if anybody's taken a tour. And if you've never been in our correctional center, Goldburn, and you want to take a tour, we can arrange that for you. But they're very clear that they think our facility has aged out and we need a new facility. So that's one question that has to be answered. Are we going to remodel the current facility or rebuild and build a new one? And somebody has to push that conversation. If you guys all think it's a human rights issue to have that facility as it currently is with no upgrades, or to not have another facility, I think that's something that you guys certainly can continue to push the conversation. We know that the ACLU thinks we need a new facility. I've talked to Mary Ellen Dekoff. They don't feel like they have any programming space in the current facility, but you're talking, tens of millions of dollars to build a new facility. And so is there something short of building a facility that ought to be done? Those are all the conversations. And you could also pick a member of this Human Rights Commission to sit in on the noon meetings on Tuesdays that the commissioners and council are having. Those are posted on the website. And you guys could, pick, or you could rotate and take turns going to those and then reporting back to this commission. But just to keep apprised of what's going on, that would be, and I always think, I've seen a difference of council and commissioner meetings when members of the public participate and pay attention. It helps the elected officials do their job.
Are those by Zoom right now or in person?
They are by Zoom. I was gonna look and see if I could see, if you just go to the Monroe County website, I'm just trying to see if I can find, if you look on the events page, it was on Tuesday, the 25th. Let me find it again. And it was called, maybe it was, let me look. It was, let me find the name of it so I can tell you. It's called the Criminal Justice Response Committee. And it was on the 25th from 12 to 1. And they've been meeting weekly, or if not weekly, every other week. To check the calendar. It is, again, over noon. I keep it to 1 hour. And it's on the Tuesdays.
Okay, we should take a look for sure. And talking about the jail reminds me that when you send links to Goldburn of some of those documents, would you include, is the Guy Loftman,
Yep.
Ruth Eit, 20-year study on racial disparities in the jail system? I think that would be very interesting.
Remember that the prosecutor's office is also doing her own study with IUPUI on race, and the prosecutor's office. So and if it would be helpful, I can, because I'm going to work with Martha to get these links sent to you. I can have it just sent around to all the members again, if that would be helpful to you, just so you guys have them again at the top of your inbox. Because if your inbox is anything like mine, you're going searching for it, you don't even know where it's at. So
Well,
I'll just
to have it all in one place would be great as we pick up the baton again.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Well, Margie, I don't know how to thank you. I don't have a dozen roses for you or, balloons. And anyway, you've been just terrific. And when she called me a few days ago to give me the news, and I was kind of nonplussed, like, what? That can't happen. So good luck with your new job.
Thank you.
Exciting.
I'm excited and I'm nervous, and we'll see how things go. But yeah, I'm excited to always learn something new and continue to grow. And this frees me up in a way to be just a citizen. And I shouldn't say just a citizen, because there are a lot of things that I couldn't really have an opinion on as a county attorney, but I can have an opinion on now because I'm just a member of the public. And so you know how fierce I am about the open door law. I told the council commissioners, watch out, somebody's gonna be looking about open door stuff. So who knows where I'll land and what I'll advocate. And I have been asked already to be on the Parks Foundation board. And so who knows where I'll turn up, but I am going to be in town still and would love to keep in touch with all of you.
Okay. All right. We'll follow up. So thank you so much. And I guess that brings us, any final questions? Goldburn, this was not a typical meeting, but it was good. I mean, we got to share. I even learned things about our fellow commissioners here. So thank you for being willing to join us. Susan?
Kathy, will you, I'm talking now about minutes. I didn't get, I got in just as you were finishing up talking about the joint meeting next month with Bloomington HRC. So when I do the minutes, if you could fill in that paragraph, that would be fine.
Be happy to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, because we moved the minutes. We did the roll call. Yes, and then we got, because we kind of resorted the agenda waiting for you.
Okay, so the minutes are approved. Okay.
Yes, we did the roll call. We approved the minutes. So yes, I'm happy to do that with you. All right, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved, Doris. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Byron seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. I guess we have to say aye and not just look at our
Aye.
hands. Aye, yes.
Aye.
All right, well.
Thank
the
you,
meeting-
guys.
The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, Margie. We appreciate you and we will see. So the February meeting is in lieu of our own meeting, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be, it's
A
same
joint
date.
meeting.
Yeah, same date. It'll be virtual, I'm assuming, because the governor has been renewing these orders every month. I'm assuming, given the way
Right.
COVID is, it'll still be virtual in February, but it'll
Okay.
be your regular meeting time and Martha will send you out a Zoom link.
Okay.
But
all
it'll
right,
be,
sounds
the city
great.
will be joining.
Right, so we've only, just so Goldburn knows, we've only done this one other time, right? And that was an initiative that came, I think, from us to them, and they liked the idea. I should correct it and say we've usually marched together in the 4th of July parade, right? And
Mhm.
that was the extent, and then we said, why can't we meet with them? That would be nice, we get to know each other better, not just the 4th of July parade, so.
And also, just as background, we have had some, can you guys hear me? We've had some conversation about combining these two commissions into a single commission, since the purposes are so similar. But both entities, I think, felt generally like it was better to keep their separate commissions. There is no Human Rights Commission that works in the town of Ellisville. They're a separate entity. They have declined to have Monroe County Human Rights Commission cover their jurisdiction. And so any complaints in the town of Ellisville go straight to the state. And so just as by way of background.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll see most of you in February. All right.
Take
and
care.
Thanks, Jonathan, for helping
Bye-bye.
us. Okay. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye, students.